Chapter 127, The Confession, Antony's POV. When Antony woke, two things were different. It took him an embarrassingly long moment to realize what exactly was causing his sense of unease, but finally he figured it out. In the first place, Hanyu wasn't in the bed with him. He'd grown used to the man's counterweight on the mattress, and the lack left him feeling strangely unmoored. Secondly, his tongue was brushing the very edge of his palate, close enough to the backs of his teeth to felicitate some speech. Antony closed his eyes again, basking in the great wave of relief and exultation washing over him. My tongue! I can talk! Oh, fuck, I can talk! The muscle wasn't entirely healed. He would need to strain to enunciate intelligibly, and his speech was likely to be sloppy for the next few days, but he could do it. He could speak in a way that Hanyu could understand. I'm just going to make everything worse. There was no other way it could play out. Antony was a person who ruined things, and the more tools he had on hand, the more he would be able to ruin. The ability to speak only meant that he would say exactly the wrong things and make Hanyu hate him, if he didn't already. It would be a disaster. But, at the very least, he owed Hanyu an apology for the kiss and reassurances that it would not be repeated. He sat up, and though the movement pained him, none of his bones ground against one another or stabbed him with sharp, broken edges. His body was knitting itself back together, as it always did. Soon, no one would be able to tell that anything had happened just by looking at him, and yet Antony felt as though he would be stepping out into a world entirely remade. I'll have to decide what to do about Marcus and Titus. I'll have to... My lord, you're awake! Hanyu's voice was followed by Hanyu himself, bustling over to the bed and bowing low without meeting Antony's eyes. How may I serve you? Hanyu. The N sound came out fuzzy and indistinct, but it was so good to have Hanyu's name in his mouth again that for a moment Antony didn't care. Hanyu stayed bent over, but his head jerked up. You can talk! Your tongue! It's all right, Antony slurred, feeling his face fall into its usual scowl. How are you? How are you? How are you? What kind of a buffoon was he? Hanyu had been stalked, menaced, traumatized, and then Antony had assaulted him in his own bed, and he asked, how are you? How stupid could one person possibly be? He should bite his tongue off again immediately. Hanyu winced. What else could he do, being asked such inane questions? You know I'm fine, my lord, he whispered, lowering his head again. You saw to that. You protected me, your most unworthy servant. You call that protection? It was pathetic. Am pathetic. And this apology has gotten very turned around somehow. Hanyu. It came out as a moan this time. I'm so sorry for everything. Damn, his S sounds were horribly sloppy. This was already a disaster. You're sorry, cried Hanyu, hunching lower in his bow. My lord, please, all you've done is show me mercy. Mercy I don't deserve. I'm ready for my punishments, anything. Please just tell me. If you're still sore, there are lots of things I know how to do to myself. I've been trained. Only say the word and I'll... No, Antony interrupted him again, head spinning miserably. Why was the poor man still so worried about punishments? Hadn't Antony managed to make himself clear on that point? Apparently not. He should have known better than to think there was even one aspect of the last few days he hadn't utterly fucked up. I'm sorry, he said again, desperate. Thought proved to be too much for his still shortened tongue to manage. I don't want to punish you. I know. Hanyu's knees finally buckled. He slid from view as he dropped to the floor beside the bed. You never want to punish me. You're so kind, my lord, and I don't deserve you. I keep making you punish me anyway. Antony shifted a few painful inches so he could stare down at the prostrate man. Hanyu's broad shoulders were incredibly tense. His body was coiled as tightly in its bow as if he were expecting the lash to fall at any minute, and he was trembling. He's afraid of me. Antony had been pierced by arrows, swords, spears, and a dozen other weapons. The pain that shot through him at this thought was worse than any of those. How could he have ever wanted Hanyu to fear him, to quiver on the ground before him? He wished he could grab his past self by the shoulders and shake some sense into his thick skull. Had it really been only a few months ago that he met Hanyu and tried to frighten him? And now Hanyu's fear burned like sunlight. I'm not going to punish you. Well, Antony supposed he couldn't quite promise that when he didn't know how much everybody knew about Hanyu's presence on the island. If word had gotten around, they would have to make some kind of public show, though he could always keep it light and pretend that more would be forthcoming in private. If I can help it, you got punished enough. No, I didn't, Hanyu hissed in what sounded like aggravation, then pressed on. I'm sorry, please forgive me for contradicting you, my lord, but for what I did, I can't go unpunished, not for deliberate disobedience. Antony stopped himself before saying lover. Marcus wasn't that anymore, but he couldn't quite bring himself to say ex-lover either. Marcus tried to kill you. He made you watch while he hurt your friend. How could there be a worse punishment than all that? That wasn't a punishment, argued Hanyu. That was just the consequences of my stupidity. You're not stupid, Antony corrected reflexively, and the man seemed to shrivel even smaller. My selfishness and disobedience, then, he whispered. It was a mistake, Antony allowed, but we both know I've made worse ones. I should have established the rules more firmly from the start. Punishing you after the fact just seems cruel, pointless. It was Antony who had failed to protect his precious man. His softness and laziness were what deserved punishment, not Hanyu's all too predictable response to them. Moreover, he'd stubbornly kept Marcus in his life, thus forcing him into Hanyu's life as well. That was far greater selfishness and stupidity than anything Hanyu could possibly do. Punishment always comes after the fact, Hanyu pointed out. I forgot my place. I forgot what I'm for. I need to be reminded, my lord. Antony's stupid short tongue fumbled a weak. What you're for? I meant to serve and please you. I'm just happy you're safe. Antony gripped the sheets until he feared they might rip. That pleases me. And you're not for serving me. You're everything. You deserve everything. I'm lucky just to have met you. You should be safe and happy, and beyond that, anything you want. You should be and do anything you want. You shouldn't be chained to me. You have to know it's not about service, he said desperately, willing Hanyu to understand despite his fumbling. Not anymore. We know each other now. You're important to me. Even if you're not serving me, I just want you safe, all right? We don't need... Antony, please! The real anguish quavering through the man's voice brought him up short. I know I'm not supposed to ask, but I need this. Please, please punish me. I can't bear being the only one who didn't get hurt. Hurt me. How many times had Antony gone to Marcus with that simple demand? Guilt and sadness and haunted, bloody memories would swell him like a bloated tick until his lover granted him the suffering that pushed it all away. Even now, he craved the safe, floating peace that those sessions had wrapped him in. Was that what this was? Was Hanyu asking him for that same savage mercy? The memories of what Marcus had done to quiet Antony's mind played before him now, himself in Marcus's place, cutting and burning and crushing. I can't! Not him! Not Hanyu! I can't! Antony had been so angry when Felix refused to do this for him. Was he really about to refuse in the exact same way? He needed to calm down. He would never do to Hanyu what Marcus had done to him, if only for the simple reason that the human wouldn't be able to survive such treatment. But some kind of punishment was hardly unreasonable. He hated this idea as well, but Hanyu had a point. Antony's reluctance to discipline the man had done neither of them any favors. Fine, he exhaled. We'll come up with something, but later, all right? The man's shoulders relaxed, his hands unfisting. Antony wished he could see his face, but when he breathed, "Thank you, my lord," his voice was heavy with relief. "I know you're still sore, but like I said, there are lots of things I know how to do to myself. You don't even have to watch. You could just tell me what you want, and I won't bother you with it anymore. For starters, we ought to do something to my feet, don't you think? Since that's the part I use to disobey. I could use that cane you have, or maybe a whip, or we could heat something in a torch and—" "No!" Antony yelped, unable to hear more. Even worse than the words was the cheerful, contemplative tone Hanyu used as he said them. How could he say such awful things in such a neutral voice? "That won't happen! No!" "Oh, of course," Hanyu gasped. "That would keep me from being of any use to you while you're healing, wouldn't it? I'm so stupid." "You're not stupid!" Frustration and pleading and a persistent lisp made for a strange tone of voice, but Antony forged ahead. "And that's not why. All that is too much. And I'm not making you do anything to yourself, so just forget about it, all right?" "Yes, my lord," the man said meekly. "This is the worst apology in the history of the world. It's all because I started with 'How are you?' I should go walk off the ship." Antony's shoulders slumped. "We'll figure something out when I'm stronger, I promise. It might not even be physical, and if it is, it won't be as drastic as all that." "I disobeyed you on purpose," Hanyu protested. "Burning my feet wouldn't be drastic. It would barely be a start." "I said no," Antony snapped. "Anyhow, why should you hold up your end of our arrangement when I failed to hold up mine?" Hanyu stiffened again. "Our arrangement, my lord?" "Yes, you obey me, I protect you. That's our deal." "There's no deal, my lord," argued Hanyu. "I'm yours. I'm supposed to obey you because you're my god and I'm your slave, regardless of whether you protect me or not. And even if there was a deal, how can you say you didn't protect me? You've been bedridden and tongueless because of all you did to protect me." "Much good it would have done you," Antony spat, digging his nails into one of the unbandaged parts of his leg. "I was too weak. I couldn't stop him. If Theo hadn't sent Felix after me, you would be dead, and there would have been nothing I could do to stop it. Some protection. I failed you, and I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry, Hanyu." "Please, please don't apologize to me, my lord," the man wailed. "I know it's not my place to make requests, but please, I can't bear it." Fuck. Antony still needed to apologize for the kiss, but if Hanyu didn't want him to, then he would just be apologizing to soothe his own conscience rather than to help his precious man feel better, and that would be a piss-poor kind of apology. Antony swallowed his dismay. "All right," he promised. "Anything you want." Hanyu moaned into the carpet. "Why are you still so good to me?" "I'm not." That was clear enough. "I'm upsetting you." "I'm only upset by my own appalling behavior, my lord," Hanyu cried. "I disobeyed you and ruined everyone's lives, and I was so ungrateful when you kissed me that I made you think I was angry." What? Antony's tension sharpened into sudden terror. Hanyu sniffed piteously. "Lord Theodora told me. She said you thought I was angry. I'm sorry for being ungrateful, my lord. I know your touch is more honor than I deserve, especially after everything." "What the fuck does that mean?" Antony opened his mouth to ask, but Hanyu was still talking. "And I know you didn't mean anything by it, so please don't worry about it, my lord," he cried, and Antony froze. "I'll never speak of it again, except to say that I'm sorry I reacted so badly." It was the easiest, clearest out that Antony could possibly have been offered. Everything in him screamed to accept this unexpected gift, to pretend that he'd never pawed at Hanyu like a disgusting old lecher, to go back to the way things had been. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the easy way. I always do. And look where it's gotten me. He owed Hanyu so much. Honesty was only the least part of it. No matter how painful and humiliating this conversation promised to be, he had to tell this man the truth. I did, Antony said softly, before cowardice could overtake him. Then, when he realized how confusing that had been, I did mean things by it. The kiss. I meant it. I'm sorry. Sit. I didn't mean to apologize again after you asked. Sorry. Fuck. Anyhow, I shouldn't have kissed you, and I wish I hadn't made you feel afraid. Finally, Antony forced his yapping, fumbling mouth shut. Would someone please kill me immediately? Everything was quiet for a long moment. Hanyu lay still on the floor. Antony silently cursed himself. Finally, Hanyu pushed himself up on his palms, just enough to peek up at Antony through red-rimmed eyes. What things? He whispered, and Antony stared down in panicked confusion until he amended. What things did you mean by it? The kiss? Fucking hells. Physical torture was nothing compared to the anguish of conversations. Antony tore his gaze away from those questioning brown eyes and stared down at his bandaged hands, opening and closing his mouth a few times before finally managing to force out some sounds. I care for you, he croaked. When I said I was yours, well, that's what I meant. I love you, Hanyu.